Hello friends, welcome to my new video lecture. First of all, thank you very much for your overwhelming response, and if you like my video lecture, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Today the topic which I will be dealing with is university wits. It's a very common topic, it's a very important topic from every perspective, be it a graduation exam or a post-graduation exam or any kind of entrance examination. This particular topic is very important. So this particular topic called the university wits, my video lecture will be divided into two parts. First, I will talk about the university wits, who were the university wits, why were they called university wits, what were the features of writing of the university wits, characteristic features of their writing, and what were their traits of writing. This will be my video lecture 1, and in video lecture 2 I will be individually talking about the writers. So this present video, that is video number 1 in the series of university wits videos, which will be 2 videos. The first video today I am broadcasting in front of you. So when you talk of university wits, why are university wits so significant in the historical, especially the historical drama of English literature? In order to understand that, we have to go back to Seneca, the Latin dramatist who wrote during the 1st century AD. Now, Seneca played a very significant role in the historical growth and development of drama in England in the 16th century. Now, the question arises, how? Well, Seneca, as we all know, is famous for tragedies. Now, his influence, especially in Cambridge, was felt around 1550 to 1560. This time period in the Cambridge University in England, his influence was greatly felt, and his influence was so great that 10 of his greatest tragedies that he had ever written were translated into English by 1581. Now, what we exactly have to understand is the university wits started flourishing. The university wits as a group started flourishing around the last 15-20 years of the 16th century. That is around 1585 onwards, the university wits started flourishing. And here we are talking about the influence of Seneca in Cambridge in between 1550 and 60, which reached its zenith, and so was the craze of Senecan drama in England that by 1581, 10 of his greatest tragedies were translated. So this is one of the main reasons of the Senecan influence. Now, one more thing we need to pay attention is, now when the universities during this time were raging with Senecan blaze, you can say, you had people like Marlowe, Peel and Green who studied at the universities, and these university young men and some of their fellow followers, you can say, who knew each other very well and were responsible for the emergence of the Elizabethan drama as a whole and the Elizabethan school of drama, and their plays had several features in common. You know, these people were greatly influenced from these 10 Senecan tragedies which were translated in Cambridge. Now, as we know that who are the university wits, technically speaking, most of the university wits were the graduates of Cambridge or Oxford. Now, university wits were the first group of, you can say, the formally educated dramatists in the history of English literature. Now, for the term university wits, what do we exactly mean by the term university wit? It basically refers to a group of the pioneer of the English dramatist, you can say, who wrote, as I said, around 1584, 1585. It's around 15-20 years of the nearly end of the 16th century, that is around 1585 onwards. And the term university wits was not used during their lifetime. It was used later, a lot later, during the 19th century. This term was coined by a journalist and an author, a very celebrated journalist and an author. His name is George Sainsbury. George Sainsbury was the person who coined the term university wits in the 19th century about this group of people, group of scholars who were mostly university graduates from Cambridge and Oxford, and played a very significant role in the growth and development of British English drama. Now, who were basically, if you talk about, if you try to understand the in-depth, if you try to understand in-depth of these university wits, if you try to get an analysis, who were they? They were multi-talented people, the university wits. They were playwrights, they were poets, and they were pamphleteers, you can say. Now, pamphleteers basically, as we take it now, was not the concept during the 16th century. Pamphleteers, where you can compare it to the modern very famous magazines that we have now, for example Chronicle, example the Frontline. Who writes in these Frontlines and Chronicles? Basically the writers who have a very good grip over his or her language, and who has proved his mettle in his or her mettle in the field of writing in the contemporary period. Those basically are basically means the good researchers who has contributed in a lot and has a very sound knowledge of his or her subject area. They write in the celebrated contemporary magazines, for example Frontline and Chronicle. Now, during the 16th century, pamphleteers were also of that category people, the learned people who knew their subject well, who knew what they were writing, what they were contributing. So when you talk of university wits are multi-talented people. They were poets, they were dramatists, they were playwrights, and they were celebrated pamphleteers who were very professional in their approach. They were very secular in their approach, and their base of stay, their base of accommodation or stay or performance was the city of London. And this basically university wits somehow paved the way for Shakespeare. There are some university wits who directly influenced Shakespeare in his writings, because Shakespeare, we need to understand that he began his career in the early part of 1580s, where university wits, the writers, were very celebrated already, and the university wits knew that they are writers who were the first generation formally educated graduates from Oxford and Cambridge, who were trying to contribute productively in the field of English drama, British drama. These university wits, as I told you, were educated in Oxford and Cambridge, and they kind of ridiculed others. They knew they belonged to the elitist group, and they were very highly influence of humanistic education was very highly on them, and they were pride of their education which they got. So they knew their mettle, and so of course they were very proud about it, and at the other hand their approach was very humanistic. And one more thing that university wits people stand apart was drama for them was a passion. Irrespective of whoever they were there at that present time, at that present moment, because all of them had very significant and common thread that netted all of them, and that was their fascination, their dedication towards the field of drama. And all of these people, they moved to London with only sole purpose, that is writing productive drama. They were all trained in the classical school, but when they basically they were trained in the classical school, but when they started to write the dramas, they made the dramas very free and flexible form of drama. You can say they breathed a new life into the classical models of drama. And one more thing that was significant was they knew each other, as we will see when we deal individually each of the university playwrights. We will see university wits writers. We will find that they knew each other. The testimony to the fact was many of them combined to write certain kinds of dramas, certain kinds of creations that established the fact that they knew each other very well. Their dramas were very, their writing skills were very broad. They wrote prose, they wrote poetry, and as I said that they were the celebrated pamphleteers of the 16th century, which is always equivalent to our very celebrated contemporary magazines such as Frontline and Chronicle. And mostly these pamphlets which they wrote were written by single authors. That was their quality. And one more thing that I wanted to stress about them is that they were the writers who were the pioneers. They are considered to be the pioneers of British English drama. They paved the way for Shakespeare. They followed a pattern through which made Shakespeare move ahead and influence Shakespeare a lot. For example, Marlowe's writings influenced Shakespeare a lot, and they provided that impetus that Shakespeare needed. Because in a way Shakespeare was contemporary, and one thing that differed between Shakespeare and the university wits were the university wits writers were already celebrated writers when Shakespeare started early in his writing during the 1580s, and he was a struggling writer. So the university wits at that time, they already established themselves at writings, and they knew what they were writing, and that made them, they knew their job, and so they were proud about it. But what kept them together was their passion, their intensity for drama. They loved drama. They loved what they did. And this is what united all these university wits. Basically, there were 7 university wits, which was led. Now, one more quality that I'd like to mention to you all is university wits basically is a group of writers in which no writer is considered to be a great writer and no writer is considered to be a writer of a below standard. Each of these 7 university wits played a very, very significant role in the growth and development of British drama as a whole. So if we try to categorize them as number 1, number 2, number 3 university wits, it will be really very, very unfair. All of them were equally able, quantity wise. They were very, very good in their art of drama writing. So if we try to categorize, basically there are 7 university wits. The first you can say is Christopher Marlowe, very celebrated university wit. Second is John Lilly. Third is George Peele. Fourth is Thomas Lodge. Fifth is Robert Greene. Sixth is Thomas Nash, and seventh is one of the greatest and my favorite writer, Thomas Kidd. So these are the 7 university wits, and one by one in my next lecture I will talk about their contribution to the development of British drama and how each one of them played a very, very significant role in the growth of British drama, and how each of them had their own distinct characteristics, and how, because they knew each other, how they combined their artistic skills, the performative skills, and they produced some of the most powerful dramas in the history of British English drama, which paved the way for Shakespeare. So I hope you have enjoyed this lecture of mine. If you did like my lecture, it is my humble request that please subscribe to my YouTube channel. May God bless you all. Take very good care until I upload my next lecture. Please pay attention to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. May God bless you all. This is Dr. Shoykot Banerjee signing off. Thank you very much for watching my video.